So what I liked about it was I've never seen this before. I haven't seen it before. I don't know about in Australia how potent television advertising is, though. And here in the States, it's an ongoing debate.
There we have it. Grill'd and Subway. I'll take this one, Justin.
Go ahead.
Subway. Well, you may not even know it's Subway because they don't even brand their creative at the end of it. So whether this says they're embarrassed about the creative they've just had and they've already paid for it, so they don't want to put their brand on the end of it or not, I'm not sure. But all they've got at the end of it is just feels good. So it feels like someone's come up with this weird and wonderful idea. Let's create this massive footlong, put it on some water, drag on a boat and have some people on top of it and, have this feels good. So like that's where they've gone with their direction. Then we've got Grill'd, and Grill'd is very different. The one thing I really love about Grill'd, what they've done here, it's incredibly different to everything you'll see on our screens. And as soon as it is very different to everything that you see, you get attention. And you pay attention. You're like, what is this? What's going on? And that's one of the biggest challenges a lot of advertisers have right now is actually getting attention. So they've done that very well. They've got this track that they've used in all three of these creatives, which is this Righteous Burger guy. It's quite catchy. It's quite memorable. I sit there and you can recall the Righteous Burger guy, and that's a tagline, and that's where they're looking to head. And Grill'd have also looked at their long-term branded assets. What have they got in their franchise? This might help you as well. Justin, is in their burgers, they've got this little wooden stick with a little flag that comes in it with a grilled burger. It's quite iconic that they have, and they use that in one of their references of their, little wooden sticks, basically, shooting at a clown that's very representative of what you'd suggest is McDonald's clown or Ronald McDonald. And what they've done here, they've created a character which is the good guy, and they've created the villain. So there is a story or a narrative that goes along with it. And the good guy beats the villain and saving the children in essence. So, which of these two win? I think it's quite clear. Are they both, or they great ads? Debatable, but I'd suggest my opinion would strongly go, if this was a battle, which it is, I go 100% Grill'd wins this. Justin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, what was the first ad again? Who is that for? I'm just kidding. But even before when we were talking, I said I can't remember which one that ad was for, because I think they might mention it in the ad, but there's just so many problems with that Subway ad that even because in the beginning you're like, what's going on? You're so distracted by what's going on. Even if they mention Subway, you kind of miss it. And then I'm like, is that the product? People are sitting on a and what's with Swan Lake? Is it because they're on a lake? There's maybe somebody was like, let's be total random and irreverent, but that only works out an idea behind the reverency, right? So 100%. These remind me again. It's grilled, right? It's grilled, right? So we don't have that in the States, and I'm just curious, who are these targeted to mostly? Is it showing up like on kids, like Sunday morning cartoons, or is it showing up prime time?
it's prime time. It's everywhere. It's not just
Yeah,
kids focused. So
it's
this
not
this
just kids.
this is actually a really interesting question because I always like to, hypothesize. You're not in the room. So this is a challenge whenever you're reviewing ads is you don't know what the brief is and you don't know what the objective was. So it's very challenging to understand the full context. But the one thing that I look at Grilled, for example, was what was the brief and who was the target? Were they going after McDonald's specifically, trying to take McDonald's customers and turn them into Grilled's customers? Or are you just trying to make people feel better about eating a burger, that it's not McDonald's, they're not even a McDonald's customers, they're just like a burger, but they feel less guilty around it? That I don't know. And I'd probably suggest it's the latter. But they're just using McDonald's as the sacrificial lamb to position themselves as a healthy burger alternative because everyone knows McDonald's isn't great for you.
Right. Well, I think that they could go after anybody. I think that they at some point settled on this positioning of, well, we're going to be we're going to be the underdog brand. We are the underdog. We're going up against the giants. What do we have? This is, you don't always have a unique selling proposition, and to anybody listening, it's very important that you hear you don't always need a unique selling proposition. But in this case, they had a unique selling proposition, especially when you're going up against somebody else and in a very saturated market. So when you're in a very saturated market, if you go through like the Eugene Schwartz product awareness / brand sophistication access model, when you're in a very saturated market, your only options are really to either start with a new mechanism that leads to the same benefit and fulfilling of a desire, or really when you can't talk about when your product is different or the needs or anything, give people something to rally behind. And here's just an example where they did both. Are they the most like the greatest commercials that I've ever seen? No. The animation, it's fun. And like you said, it's very different from anything that's out there. If this was playing in the 80s, it wouldn't be so different, at least in the States. Like there were a lot of animated commercials, like this. But that's the history of advertising is cyclical. So, and we see a lot of 80s stuff coming back now. As the people who were kids in the 80s are in charge of things, right? So you see, what I liked about it was I've never seen this before. I haven't seen it before. I don't know about in Australia how potent television advertising is, though. And here in the States it's an ongoing debate. So, I'd be curious what the effect of just doing that I'd be curious to see how this is laddering out in an omni-channel sort of way. But I really like their positioning, and I like the grill, like the grilled. It's got like an attitude to it, and it's like, I'm gonna grill you, and it's like righteous, like a righteous burger. It's and they could take on anybody, with that.
You had the Hungry Jack's. It's not Hungry Jack's in the States. What is it? Burger King. Did you have the Burger King Whopper Multi Burger campaign in the US?
Yes, yes. I was going to bring that up as a weird way of trying to do what these guys were doing.
Yeah. So with that, you've got contrast. So you've got distinction bias. You've got, here on the left is X, here and here's the difference. Like it's comparison, it's comparative theory. So Burger King ran that with the multi burger. Here's a McDonald's burger, it doesn't disintegrate, it's like plastic. Here's a Burger King, it gets moldy. It's because we use, natural organic product, which one's better for you. Grilled's gone the same angle, but more fun, more playful. And, it's a really interesting one where you're setting yourself up. How can I compare myself against someone in market? And interestingly, both of them have picked McDonald's.
Yeah, I think I think they could take on anybody, though. I think eventually they'll take on the King, and they'll take on and I like the cartoon, the one where they're stabbing the guy. I don't know if we're showing that one, but stabbing the cows and making them like bigger. these are like fun visuals that you put. Sometimes people need to see that over exaggerated visual in order to be like, oh yeah, I get that. And but the layer of fun with it is just really is really a nice thing.
And
Uh, Especially with Burger King. Burger King is the more fun out of the two, right? If you're gonna do Burger
totally.
King or McDonald's, yeah.
The one thing looking at long-term branded assets, there was a study out of Australia
Oh
a
yeah.
couple of years ago now. It was the 2020 study. And it was looking at what elements within ads create long-term brand impact or memory. And one of the big or the two key takeaways was either character or spokesperson. So creating a memorable character, which they're looking to do with this ad with the righteous burger guy. He's the hero. And then the other one is acoustic encoding, and an over index by 800%. So it is having song or jingle. You know, these are things that people can recall and then link that to the actual product. So if you're looking at Grilled, they've done that. They're creating a character. They're investing in a character, which they can continue to do. And McDonald's have always done that, you know, which is one of them's in this script. But then they've also got song, the power of melody.
Right.